Hey guys, how are we doing? Back with another video from Mother's Basement. Top 10 best anime of summer 2019, which is this year, believe it or not. We have been watching a few new ones, and I want to see what we've been watching is going to be on this list. I'm pretty sure Dr. Stone and Fire Force are going to be on there.
Yeah.
They've been pretty good. I'm not sure if he's going to put it on there because I'm thinking about Jeff's taste in anime. But we've been enjoying the, was it Search for the Sacred Beasts?
Yeah.
That's actually been quite good, those first two episodes. We need to watch the third one of that. I think he's a bit of a Fate fan. He might be throwing Lord El Meloy's case files on there. I recommend that for people that have seen Fate Zero, though, which is why you've not been watching it. I know what he's going to throw on there. And we've been watching it.
Gran Bellum?
No.
The Tai Chi Magician?
No, I don't think he's going to put any of those on there. The cute demon girl one.
Oh, I'd find my daughter if it was for a demon lord or something.
If it was for my daughter, I would kill a demon lord. Yeah, I think he's going to throw that on there. And then
so cute.
It's amazing. So, I don't know what else could... Right, so let's do this. 10 best anime of summer 2019.
Summer is once again here at last.
Yes, it is.
With the world at its most beautiful and plenty of summer activities to do with friends and family
like
members.
Sit in and watch anime.
A lot more free time on their hands. You're going to need some really good excuses to stay inside.
There we go.
That's why you're here, right? And I'm here,
Yes.
having watched every single anime of this new season, to tell you the 10 that are your best bet for escaping the heat and any social obligations that you might
Oh, thank God.
These are the ones to watch for summer 2019. Sponsored by Cygames and Shadowverse. Let's kick things off with a show that I've been hotly anticipating ever since episode 0 aired this past winter, Lord Elmo II's Case Files, Rail Zeppelin Gracenote. The latest entry in the sprawling universe, in addition to carrying on its proud tradition of unwieldy titles, marks the return of Waver Velvet, one of the absolute best characters from one of the absolute best anime franchise, Fate Zero. In this new series, Waver has become a teacher working for the vaguely sinister Mage Association, stepping in to fill the shoes of his own late mentor, Kenneth Elmalloy Archibald.
Who was a massive
kinda
prick.
got killed in Fate Zero by stealing his first servant, Ixander, but who also kinda really deserved it.
Yep.
As a third-rate mage with a keen mind but little natural aptitude, the
I'm waiting for
timid
episode to
Waver
like,
is in a
and
little
then watch
over
something.
his head, teaching a magic class, and in a few miles deep whenever he has to deal with the magic politics of the clock tower.
It looks so good.
Family's behalf. With his life under threat from other mages and his adopted family not having his best interest at heart and various magical shenanigans afoot around him, it seems like there will be few dull moments for Waver in this series, but honestly, it's so fun seeing the straight-laced, soft-spoken hero and his goofy compatriots bounce off one another that I'd be happy just watching them, I don't know, sit around eating food. But I guess Fate's already done that.
Yes, it has
This
a weird
is a Studio
spin-off
Troika
series of them
production,
eating
helmed
food.
by Bloom Into You director Makoto Kato, who has a remarkable eye for composition, so it should come
looks
as
so
no
beautiful.
surprise that it looks stunning. While Troika's compositing department can't quite match the output of Ufotable, they come damn close. And the two episodes that we've seen so far have been packed end to end with creative and dynamic CGI enhanced
See, I've still only watched episode 0.
effects and strong character animation.
I'm waiting for
As
like
this
5
show
episodes
isn't
in a
about
row.
a Holy Grail war, you can't expect it to be quite as action-packed.
Yeah, it's not
as
going to be. I
some
wasn't
of the other
expecting
Fate
it.
entries, but when it needs to bring the action, it
Yo!
brings it and then some. The rest of the time, the series is carried by charming character interactions and a strong sense of mood and atmosphere. It feels dark and enigmatic, as any show about a secret society of morally questionable sorcerers should, but it balances
It's so
that
cool
out
seeing
with
him
good humor,
older.
and I've gotta say, I am really enjoying its particular blend. I'm not what you'd call a hardcore Fate fan, but I know what I like, and I like this a lot. If that's not quite enough magic for you, you're in luck, because in keeping with the outdoorsy spirit of summer, this season has brought with it a tidal wave of fantasy adventure stories, including no less than 4 different isekai anime. With such a saturated market, it takes a lot for a fantasy series to stand out, and if it's for my daughter, and Defeat the Demon Lord sets itself apart from the crowd.
Quality! It's so good. She's so cute.
this.
We've
and
loved
like
every
it.
episode.
The show
Oh my
follows a
God.
typical fantasy adventure.
I
named
didn't
Dale,
wanna
who,
watch
while
it.
out in the woods one day, stumbles across a frail, starving demon girl named Latina. Quickly enough, in spite of a heavy
Dale.
language barrier standing between them, Dale forms a powerful bond with the lost child and decides to raise her as his own.
Cute.
I tend to really enjoy
okay.
stories about single parents struggling to do right by their adorable kids, and I like the wrinkle that adoption stories add of these people trying to form a family together. But this being anime, there's always a danger that they'll turn into gross grooming fantasies, or worse, lewd the lollies. Thankfully, thus far, For My Daughter has evaded these pitfalls,
It
and...
has.
Oh no. No!
No.
Why? Why?
No.
Oh no.
Why? Why?
This is a bit different for Jeff.
Why?
Uh,
Why? Why?
See, what?
Why? Why?
This is brilliant.
Anyway, just watch Sweetness and Lightning, I guess. Oh, jeez, I still have to give you guys 9 more anime to watch, don't I? Well, hopefully the next one won't be such an incest minefield. Let's see. It's Do You Love Your Mom?
Mothers, yeah.
Two-hit, multi-target attacks.
I haven't watched this yet.
Oh boy. Okay, well, obviously this is a pre-scripted video where I already know all of the anime I'm going to be talking about, and I wouldn't be bringing this one.
I haven't watched this yet. It's on the queue though, babe.
Anywhere near as bad as it looks, so why am I recommending In Another World with my MILF? In short, the show is hilarious. The elevator pitch is
That's
about
amazing.
what you'd expect. Monaco is a beautiful, doting single mother whose oblivious affection is a constant source of embarrassment for her surly teenage son, Masato.
Aw.
One day, the pair are selected by the government to beta test a new MMORPG.
Of course
and
they are.
eventually they find themselves transported to a game world so unfinished that most of the characters are still placeholder models.
Oh.
As is traditional in these types of situations, Masato is given an OP cheat weapon to start his adventure,
Fair
but his mom
enough.
one-ups him by grabbing 2 legendary swords that can each hit every enemy before her with a single swing.
That's
so
class.
even
I
on
like
an
that.
incredible adventure in another world,
I'm gonna pick up 2 of these. Oh, okay.
rely on his mom at every turn. Through this dynamic, MILF Sakai offers up a
MILF
mostly loving parody of the
Sakai.
genre power fantasies that dominate this genre, while also taking pot shots at the incest.
Oh,
humor
I think we
so
need to watch the first
prevalent
episode of this.
in the keeping helping of cringe humor, Monaco plans to grill potential party members like marriage candidates in episode 2, and a dollop of quality dad jokes on the side. This show has thus far
Oh
been
my
good,
God.
mostly clean fun. And while I am pulling for that fun to get a bit dirtier, the character designs from ecchi manga queen Pochi really deserve it. I hope
Okay.
it keeps the focus on Monaco.
Yeah, we definitely need to watch this one.
embarrassing her son in front of
Do we?
potential
Yes.
love interests instead of treating her as a potential love interest. Because their dynamic is really cute and funny as it is, and I want it to stay that way. To put this another way, I'm really hoping this show's response to "Dude, your mom's really hot" is "I know, it sucks," and not "I know, isn't it awesome?"
Oh.
So long as it doesn't
Oh.
cross that line, this should easily be one of the best and easiest to recommend comedies of this season. Though certainly not the best, not if "Oh Maidens in your savage season" has anything to say about it. And yes, I do have to pronounce the title that way. It's been a long time since I've laughed at an anime as hard as I laughed at this one. And
Okay.
longer still
This isn't on
since I've seen a
Crunchyroll.
comedy anime that feels
No, there we
this
are. It's on High Dive.
Though
It would have been on my
that's
queue
no
if it
surprise,
was.
given that both this anime and the manga that it's based on were written by Mari Okada. A great writer in all regards, but one particularly adept at giving a voice to awkward teenagers. And as they did in Hanasaku Iroha so many years ago, her words truly come alive through the expert direction.
I wonder if there's
of
anything on Amazon Prime this
Sorry if
season.
that description was a bit too flowery. I got swept up
That was
in
what
the
Dororo
literary
was
spirit of this show,
featured
which
on,
follows
wasn't
a literature club full of shy teenage girls as they try and fail miserably to think about literally anything other than sex. Anime stories about idiots in the throes of puberty are a dime a dozen, but it's rare, almost unheard of, really, to see one present the experience so honestly. The obliteration of childhood innocence by adult realities and hormonal overload is embarrassing, frightening, and a little bit exciting, and generally really funny once you can look at it with enough hindsight. It's perfect story fodder, in other words, but it's so awkward and personal and vaguely obscene that it's a lot easier to just write around it. Most anime about teenagers will either obscure the relentlessly horny mindset of your average adolescent behind more innocent themes of romance, or otherwise exaggerate it to the point of absurd perverseness for cheap laughs. Oh, Maidens definitely gets laughs, but it does so by treating that mindset seriously and exploring the internal conflicts inherent to it. These girls are excited by the idea of sex, but the reality of it terrifies them. They'd really rather concentrate on every other part of their life, but hey, have you ever noticed how basically everything looks like genitals? Puberty is often messy, confusing, and unpleasant, and I think it's made all the harder when everyone around
you were holding the Pringles tub before in a very...
just not happening. So this show gets a lot of points for me just for trying to take it seriously and not treat it as some taboo subject. But it gets many more for how well it's executed. The dialogue is full of clever wordplay, the scenarios are audacious and hilarious, the characters are instantly lovable, and the direction, as I said, is top-notch. This is some of the best use of cinematic language and visual metaphor I've seen in an anime since Yorimoi. And any anime that draws positive comparisons to that one deserves a shout-out. Oh, Maidens in Your Savage Season is easily one of the best shows of this season.
Interesting.
Don't miss it. Now, with the marketing push Crunchyroll's been giving our next show, I don't think you could miss it if you tried.
Dr. Stone! It's so good!
To earn itself an anime adaptation, and I'm cheating a bit here because while generally speaking the shows I recommend on these lists are things that I'm experiencing for the first time as anime, I've read almost every chapter of Dr. Stone that's currently out already, and my hype for this show is based as much on what I know is coming as it is on
of 2018 in Japan?
Because as
or in
good
the top
as this
three, anyway.
series already is, it gets so much better. Now, as for what it's actually about, the story kicks off with a mysterious ray of light engulfing the planet, turning every human being in the world into stone. Almost 4,000 years later, a snarky, science-obsessed teenager named Senku manages to escape from his stone prison, and along with his brawny best friend Taiju, sets out on a quest to restore
the way they bounce off
society
each other is
the
so
power
cool.
of science. Unfortunately for Senku, one of the first people they decide to revive, a brutally strong teenage boy named Tsukasa, has different plans. He wants to revive only the young and create a new, natural utopia free of modern strife, conflict, and corruption, while killing any and all adults from the old world. And as he's
That
strong
was
enough
such
to
a, like,
shatter
when he
rocks
punched
and
that
kill a goddamn
head up, I was just like,
lion
whoa.
with his bare hands, Senku's gotta be smart if he wants to stop him. So, it's Hoku Bill 9. Basically. The story follows Senku's journey to tame the savage post-apocalyptic Earth, and every step of that journey brings with it informative lessons on the scientific principles behind technology and tools we largely take for granted in the modern day. Through all of these individual tidbits and lessons, the series seeks to instill in its audience a real appreciation for the power of scientific thought and how much it's contributed to our way of life. Dr. Stone is the very best kind of edutainment, the kind that's so fun to watch and read that you don't even realize you're learning stuff while you're learning it. It's also got a strong sense of humor,
It is so funny.
style, and a particular knack for crafting great character expressions that are going to
Nitric acid?
of the anime reaction.
What is that?
Gotta love those cavemen.
That's my favorite line.
What can I say? Dr. Stone just rocks. Now, speaking of rock, I've got a bit of a soft spot for shows about young musicians, K-On!, Kids on the Slope, that sort of thing. And Given is one of the...
There we are!
Yes!
Okay, yeah.
I wanted to watch this.
Give it a go. Give this a go. That first episode, I was like, whoa.
Who's constantly clinging to a guitar he doesn't know how to play, and whose timid nature hides an
Yeah, you really,
singing
like,
voice.
pushed,
Together,
like,
the pair is
we should
destined
check it
to
out.
make beautiful music together. In many
Yeah, but
senses.
as soon as they
The
started
third
playing
has
the
this
music,
BL
I was
or
like,
boy
whoa.
love series, and the chemistry they already have with each other makes me think that it's going to be a really good one. The romantic aspect obviously changes some things, but with its dynamic of an experienced rocker teaching a newbie, Given really reminds me a lot of Beck Mongolian Chop Squad, which happens to be one of my favorite anime ever, so that can only be a good thing.
Oh, okay.
Thus far, it hasn't come anywhere near matching Beck's glorious English rock songs, but it touches on similar themes of youthful passion and creative drive, and based on how effectively it contrasts the sleepy bottom energy of Mafuyu with the grumpy top vibes exuded by Ritsuka, I think it's fair to say it's got a similar knack for creating appealing, memorable character dynamics, albeit with slightly more romantic tension between the bandmates, but only slightly. One thing that really impressed me about Given is the way that it blends CGI and traditionally animated elements, particularly when the characters are playing their music. While their faces and bodies stay hand-drawn, their hands and instruments are rendered in 3D with a bit of rotoscoping assistance, allowing them to play in smoother, more realistic fashions than traditional techniques would allow. Anti-3D CG purists might still be bothered by this implementation, as the compositing isn't flawless. The seams are hidden pretty well, but you will probably still notice the CG.
I'm probably going to notice it now.
If you've seen the Mori, you know just how bad this kind of thing can look when it's handled poorly, and I think that what Studio Lerche and director of photography Naoki Seizawa have pulled off here is remarkable. If I didn't, I wouldn't have spent so long remarking on it. Of course, technical prowess does not a great show make, and it's the characters and writing that will ultimately keep you coming back here.
But
so long as it can maintain the charming dialogue seen in these early episodes, though, I think it's a given that I'll be watching this one.
So we did there.
Hold on a sec. I'm being told that I need to be severely punished for that terrible joke, so while that's happening, please enjoy this word from our sponsor. Alright, we're good. The pun police let me off with a warning and a light beating. But on the subject of police brutality, Copcraft is a pretty friggin' good anime. Set in a modern American-coded city whose harbor happens to harbor a magical isekai gate, Copcraft follows a rough-and-tumble detective named
isekai,
who must team up with a fairy knight from the fantasy world of Samani in order to catch a demi-human trafficking ring that killed his partner. But to solve that case, as is par for the buddy cop course, they'll first need to overcome their mutual prejudice toward each other. So it's basically bright, except the story isn't dog shit, and the world building actually makes sense. Well, that's an understatement.
I didn't mind bright. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't as bad as people made it out to be.
Strong, and that all of the characters are motivated by
in my opinion,
history of cultures that has been thought out by the author but hasn't been brought to light yet. And really, I'd expect no less from Full Metal Panic and Amagi Brilliant Park creator Shin Gato. For his part of it, Shin Itagaki is a bit hit or miss as a director, but when he hits, he hits. And here it seems like he's putting his experience from Black Cat, Devil May Cry, and Death to very good use. From the first scene, Copcraft nails the gritty feel of American police dramas and makes clear that it won't be pulling any punches with its animated-up action scenes. Fair warning, this is not a show for the faint of heart or the queasy of stomach. Or for kids, for that matter. But it is a lot of R-rated fun. The gunplay in this show pops. Copcraft's blend of contemporary and fantasy elements feels weirdly reminiscent of cyberpunk fiction. If you enjoy stuff like RoboCop, Blade Runner, Psycho Pass, or Gits, I think this will be right up your dingy, neon-lit alley. And the same applies if you're a fan of darker, more violent anime in general, especially if you're the type to bemoan the lost grittiness of 90s anime. It's a very different show, obviously, but I found this scratched almost the same itch for me as rewatching an old show like Outlaw Star. Almost. I've still got an itch for fanciful space adventures, but that's what our next show is here for.
Oh, yeah?
Astro, Lost in Space, is about, well, the title kind of gives away the premise, doesn't it? The show follows a group of high school students in the distant future who think that they're going to a fun week-long camp on an alien planet, but end up being sucked into some sort of wormhole and spat out into the orbit of an ice giant over 5,000 light-years from Earth, which would be a death sentence in most cases. Luckily, they emerge next to a derelict spacecraft called the Astra, and after working as a team for the first time in order to rescue their ditzy compatriot Arius Spring from a slow death in the vacuum, the group comes up with a desperate plan to get home. By making hyperspace jumps between 5 habitable planets just within range of their 20-day capacity for food and water storage, they might just be able to bridge the impossible distance to Earth and make it back in one piece. From a structural standpoint, the premise of this story alone is absolutely brilliant. The 5 planets in the student's path will each undoubtedly present their own self-contained survival challenges and adventures, while the overarching mystery of who or what abducted them in the first place should serve to keep the central narrative focused. Though, for my money, the greatest strength on display in the first episode is its character writing. All 10 of the show's characters manage to leave a powerful impression in one way or another.
That's difficult to do with
within
such a
seconds of
huge,
being
like,
introduced, and while
cast
some
as well.
obviously get more development than others in this first episode, I've already got a pretty clear idea of what they're all about. It helps a lot that the character designs are distinctive and eye-catching, a quality that Astro shares with Kento Shinohara's earlier work, Sket Dance. The spacesuit designs in particular are absolutely brilliant, and I'm not just saying that because of how good some of the girls look in them, although that does help. I think it's really cool that they're made by different brands, and that this is a world where spacesuits are as much a fashion
Oh, okay, that's
statement
pretty
as they are
decent. I like
survival
that.
gear.
A lot of thought's gone
Fundamentally,
into the
there are
world
two
that it's set
basic
in.
kinds of survival stories. Pessimistic ones, where the loss of societal comforts and stability turns men back into violent animals, and optimistic ones, where hardships bring people closer together,
Yeah, it does look good,
and the
doesn't it?
power of their collective human spirit allows them to beat impossible odds. Personally, I've always preferred the latter, and with its irreverent tone and incredibly lewd thematic motif of hand-holding, it seems like Astra aims to deliver exactly that kind of uplifting tale. Regardless of where this series goes, though, I'm really excited to see how it gets there. There's other Shonen Jump series hogging the spotlight this summer, but this one definitely deserves your attention, too.
Fire Force! Fire
And so
Force!
does Gran Bellum.
No! Why is this on the list? This is so bad! No!
Well, some might take issue with calling this original. This is one of those shows that wears its influences on its
The whole time we were watching it, I was just like, I don't like this.
I was trying to give it a chance.
Oh. And you said this is a joke. Didn't you?
Incredible magical powers
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
secret mecha battles in a parallel world
Just
under
'cause
the
we
light
didn't
of a
see
full
it.
moon
We
feels
didn't
like
see it,
a
so-
mashup of Doka
Of course we
Magica,
haven't.
Star Driver, and Fate. But Gran Bellum is making, I think, a good effort towards setting itself apart from its influences, with its own fun character dynamics, a unique take on magic, and a strong underlying theme of characters yearning
The
to be
mechs just look,
useful and appreciated by others.
meh.
It's still got a ways
Chibi.
to go to
Yeah.
step out of the shadows of its
Chibi
influences,
mechs
but if it goes the distance, it could
that are
be
being
an
serious.
incredible hidden gem this season.
Don't
And while
work
it's making its
for
way
me.
there, we can at least enjoy some cool mecha battles. Because
They're not cool,
Oka
though.
League is our
No.
best action scenes ever saw.
I disagree.
Chibi-esque Armanox mech designs might not be every anime fan's cup of tea, but it's hard to deny how beautiful they look in motion, or how stunning their big, show-stopping attacks can be. The big beam attack scene in episode 1 is the stuff of Sakuga wet dreams, and I
Not
cannot
really.
wait to see what future fights bring to the table. Unfortunately, it seems like at least a bit of waiting will be necessary, as the show is also taking its time to build up its characters and world between the big cool mecha fights. But with Juki Hanada writing the dialogue, those scenes are plenty entertaining in their own right. The protagonist, Mangetsu's quiet, soft-spoken brand of pure-hearted pessimism, presents an interesting contradiction, and the rest of the characters, while not all of them are likable, certainly leave a strong impression. Gran Bellum has thus far been a fun enough ride to recommend, but it's got the potential to be something really special, and if you like mecha and magical girls especially, it is well worth keeping your eye on. Every season, it seems like at least one of the most widely anticipated and talked about anime ends up shackled to Amazon Prime, and summer's unfortunate prisoner is Vinland.
Oh, there we go.
A Wit
Amazon
Studio
always gets one.
adaptation of an absolutely gorgeous historical manga that follows the life of a Viking explorer named Thorfinn as he grows into a man and eventually sets out to settle America, or Vinland, as Leif Erikson
Wit
called
Studio.
it back in his day. With the original manga having drawn its share of comparisons to Kentaro Miura's classic Berserk, the hype surrounding this series has been intense.
Okay.
And I'm pleased to report that it more or less lives up to it.
We could
Definitely
watch
well
this,
enough
'cause
to
I
be
do
worth
have an
navigating
Amazon Prime
Amazon's
account.
terrible interface to watch it.
Yes,
and
get
don't
me.
forget to catch Dororo and Recreators while you're there. The show's dynamic,
Yeah, we do need to watch
action will
Dororo as well,
certainly
that's on
be
Amazon.
its strongest selling point. It's no mistake that the first thing it shows us is a show-stopping
Yes.
shipboard battle scene, but what really blows me away is its subtle and immaculate attention to detail in quiet moments. The day-to-day life of Thorfinn, fetching water and feeding his family's livestock, is captured with just as much care as the clashing of swords. Vinland Saga does an incredible job of immersing you in its harsh 11th century world. How to Train Your Dragon, this is not, though it does have its share of brilliant stylistic flourishes, like painting Thorfinn's childhood dreams of adventure and conquest as vibrant, goofy cartoons, which clash with the grim realities of war faced by the adults around him. And that equal time and care is applied to all of these different facets of the story is, I believe, a key to the show's greater message. Through the wisdom of Thorfinn's father, Vinland Saga makes it clear very early on that beyond simply transporting its viewers to a different time and place, it exists to extol the cross-cultural virtues of peace, understanding, and forgiveness over violence, cruelty, and hatred of all kinds. It's looking like it'll take a while to get into the meat of things. The story is moving at a, shall we say, methodical pace, but I really like how the characters in this series are written, and I'm excited to see how its exploration of these themes will evolve and play out. I might even have to crack open the manga to look ahead, because it's really good so far, but a little slow. But I'm also eager just to see more of this world animated.
Wow.
The craftsmanship behind it is truly remarkable. Even if you're not the type who typically enjoys historical narratives with a sprinkling of anime action, the production values of Vinland Saga may be strong enough to carry you through the show.
Wow!
But Vinland Saga isn't the only bit of eye candy we have to enjoy this season. It pains me to admit this as a, what do you call it, a words-doer type guy. But there's very little that I can say to you about Fire Force that will sell you on the series better than just showing you this and this.
Amazing!
Oh my god.
Look at it. The framing, the
it's so good.
Striking use of color, even ignoring the stupid smooth animation and the breathtaking effects work, this show is beautiful.
So good.
While it says David Production in the opening credits, a lot of the staff on Fire Force are Shaft veterans, including director Yuki Yase, who previously helmed the equally striking Makaku City Actors, as well as several episodes of Monogatari and Madoka Magica. And that pedigree is apparent in almost every frame of this show. David Production, for its part, is reportedly a lot better managed than Shaft is, which means that these incredible artists will be given more chances to work to their fullest without burning themselves out.
Haha!
Thus, it's likely that this show will be able to maintain this level of quality throughout, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that. They've been going justifiably a bit nuts about Fire Force over on the Sakuga blog, and I encourage you to read up on it there if you'd like to know more about the artistry behind it. The other half of this equation is Fire Force's story, penned by Soul Eater author Atsushi Okubo, who is as good a writer as he is a character and world designer, and as should be evident from what you're seeing right now, he is a great character and world designer. The basic premise of a world where people mysteriously transform into flaming demons called Infernals seemingly out of nowhere, and a religious order of pyrokinetic firefighters who must literally fight that fire with fire, is a brilliant setup for a shonen action series in and of itself, which explains why Trigger, borrowed it for Promare. But Okubo's knack for writing vibrant, distinctive characters elevates it almost instantaneously to a whole other level above that basic premise. While it is still pretty funny at times, Fire Force isn't quite as comedically driven as Soul Eater was, a fact that's reflected in its
very serious points,
less cartoony art style. But what it loses in manic Looney Tunes energy, it more than makes up for in its emotional, somber moments. Every enemy fought here is a human being, lost, suffering in the grip of madness, who leaves behind grieving family members when they go. And while the characters have a charming shonen hero bravado about them, it feels more like they're putting on a brave face to weather those daily tragedies than they are having a good time fighting baddies. And there's a certain beauty in that dynamic that hits me almost as hard as the gorgeous shots and the immaculate background art. I love pretty much everything about Fire Force. The way that it intertwines character and world building and blends action with almost spiritual moments of contemplation is sublime. It's my current frontrunner for anime of the season, so definitely check it out if you haven't already. The competition for that title is going to be tight, though, because this summer is an incredible season for anime.
Some good anime,
During the
right?
spring, I was having a hard time finding 10 anime that I wanted to recommend to you guys, but for this video, I was having trouble deciding what to leave
Which
out.
one to put on,
In
yeah.
addition to what I was able to highlight today, I really enjoyed watching Hensky, The Demon Girl Next Door, Mao-sama Retry, The Ones Within, Are You Lost, and
No.
Magical
Yes.
Assembly.
No, those two, no.
Unfortunately,
I mean,
I had to make a cutoff
Not the last
somewhere
one, but
because
Are
the
You
whole point of
Lost?
these
Yeah, you
videos
like that,
is to
didn't
give
you?
you guys a reasonable number of anime to watch.
I was looking through my queue and I was like, why is it still on there? Oh, yeah.
When you've got some free time. After you play Shadowverse, of course. Thank you so much to Games for sponsoring this video, and thank you, I really mean it, thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite shows of this summer are and why. And while you're down there, you know what all the buttons do, and you'll subscribe.
Stranger Things is not an anime.
Just take a second out of your day to
Just
tell
don't
a
watch
friend
it.
or family member who you haven't talked to in a while that you love them. Spread some good vibes, you know? I'm Jeff, the professional shitbag,
Signing out from my mother's basement. Cool. There we have it. 10 best anime of summer 2019. Ones to watch. Still don't know the Gran Bellum. No. But everything else on there, I just kind of like, yeah, cool. We might check out that one on Amazon.
The Vinland one.
Vinland Saga was it called?
Yeah.
Might check it out. So, yeah. Thank you guys very much for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know what I should want to discuss in future videos. I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys next time.